How are you guys? Happy Eid. Hope you guys are doing well. It's quite cold in Amsterdam actually. That's why I'm wearing a jacket. I know it's a hot summer in India now. All right. So somebody asked me this question that I have a non-finance background. I come from a technical background, and I want to make a career in banking. So please make a video about career in banking for people who do not have an educational background in finance. Right. So let me tell you that for some jobs in finance or banking, you will need a finance certification. Right. Like you cannot be an accountant in a bank or in a financial corporation without having an accounting certifications. You need to be a chartered accountant or equivalent uh, certifications. For example, the CPA in the US, right? You need to have that, right? However, for most of the jobs in banks or any other financial organization, you will not need a qualification or a certification in finance. In fact, I have seen more people from non-finance background working in banks than those from finance background, right? If I have to give a number, it is like 82 to 20% or 70 to 30. 70% of the people are from non-finance background, and about 20 to 30% of the people are from the finance background. Right. Now that may not be true, because yeah, it's just a sample that I have seen. Right, it could be very different if you take a bigger sample. But what I'm trying to say is that you will find a number of people, plenty of people, working in banks without having any formal qualification in finance, whether it's whether chartered accountancy or MBA finance or financial engineering or CFA or any of those certifications, right? There are few things to know, however, right? And I'm going to discuss about them. Um, so most banking jobs are are not that difficult actually. As long as you are a bit smart, you can do it. The problem is that because it's not a super high skill job, it's not like a job in, let's say, in a research department. It's not like doing brain surgery, or it's not rocket science, so to say, right? So you may have a qualification in science or engineering or social science or law, right? Or even vocational, any vocational area. You could work in banks, right? Like in India also, people from all background work in bank. I've seen that also in the US and in Europe. In fact, it's even more in Europe that people from non-finance background working in banks. In India, it's a bit different. A lot of MBAs are there in private banks, simply because banks go to business schools to hire MBA finance guys. But that's not the case, or that is less of a case in Europe or European banks. I've also seen the same in the US banks. Um, so people only care about whether you are smart enough to get things done. But how do you convince people, right? Unless you have a degree, you won't be able to convince, right? So you need a degree. It doesn't have to be in finance. If you have a degree in a very difficult subject, right, in physics or engineering, mathematics, these subjects, then that will give a signal that you are a smart guy, right? And as long as the interviewer is convinced that you are smart, he or she will hire you, or likely to hire you, regardless of whether you already know some finance or not, right? He will assume that you will learn things on the job, right? In lot of the departments, that's the case. In some department, you will be expected to know a few things before you get hired. For example, in the software development department, right? Probably they won't hire you if you do not know any programming, right? If you have done some courses, you have done some projects, Even though you do not have a background, relevant background, you still could be hired in the software IT department of the banks. But for all of the departments, as a fresher, people won't expect you to know a lot of things, right? And let me tell you that a lot of people in banks, they have a strong view that whatever is taught in business schools or in universities, they're pretty much useless in banking in the real world actually. So there are many university providing you qualifications in MSc Finance or MSc Financial Economics or MBA Finance. A lot of that you study there is pretty much useless in the real world. You have to unlearn a few things and then get started. You have to learn a lot of things on your own, and you have to learn a lot of things from your colleagues and from your department, and just by even reading some books by industry practitioners. Academicians are a bit behind when it comes to real world practice, especially in finance actually. By the way, I have a lot of respect for the academicians, but this is just an observation, and this is what I have also heard from people who are veterans in finance and banking. And we often make a lot of jokes about academic finance people, yeah, during cocktail parties, celebration drinks and all. During those times, we do talk about how useless is academic finance, and how people don't learn things properly in universities, especially the ones who actually do MBA finance, and even from good university. By the way, a lot of the professors there, they may be good, no question about that, but they have very little experience about real world finance. They have never managed money. They have never done proper real world risk management. So how will they will be able to teach you proper finance, right? That's not going to be the case, right? So a lot of things you will anyway be learning on the job. So why bother to do a master's degree, or why bother to uh, go to an university to learn finance specifically? You better learn something totally different, like any technical subject. You'll have plenty of career opportunities there. By the way, I did a master's degree in financial economics, so it's not that I come from different type of field. I do have a finance qualification, and I kind of agree to this stereotype, right? But one thing to remember is that you need to have qualifications, right? Some qualification, like need not be in finance, but some qualification. You cannot be hired by banks if you do not have a graduation certification. For example, many IT companies, may hire you if you do not have a college degree or university degree. As a software developer, as a web developer, app developer, you can be a dropout and work as a software developer, but that won't happen in banking. In banking, you will need to have good qualification, graduations or post graduation preferably, especially in Europe. You really need to have post graduation, right? In the US and India, graduation certificate is also enough in many roles, but in Europe you need to have a master's degree, right? They do a lot of emphasis on having a master's degree here. Okay, but you do not need like research qualifications such as PhD and all, right? In some roles, yes, people may expect you to have PhD. For example, if you're doing economic research in a bank, some people might expect you to have a PhD in economics or macroeconomics, but for most roles, no, that's not the case. Technical qualifications are given more importance. For example, if you have degrees in quantitative fields, in engineering, science, right? That will give a signal to the interviewer that you are a smart guy, and you can be hired and trained and mentored, coached. Sorry. So that signaling is possible if you have a qualification, preferably from a good university, but otherwise also is fine. But you need to have a qualification that is well respected. Qualifications in economics, commerce, and law, they're also quite well respected in banks, by the way. A lot of people come from MBA background also, especially in India. you will find a lot of people come from MBA background, and many of them hold very top positions actually. That's less of a thing in Europe. You will find that people from in the law and science background or economics, econometrics, rising to the top, becoming CEOs. Many CEOs in European banks are actually economists. People having master's degree in economics or master's degree in mathematics, even science, right? So, in conclusion, I would say that you do not need a qualification in finance to work in banks, any banks, right? European banks, American banks, Asian banks. However, you need college degrees, right? You cannot be a dropout and work in banks. I've never seen a dropout working in banks. Most of the people I worked with do have a master's degree. Doesn't matter which area, but uh, preferably someone having a master's degree. There are many people with bachelor's degree also. They do work in banks, but they also do part-time master's degree, for example, right? So it's a myth that you need to have a qualification in finance or related area in order to work in banks, right? And why this is important, because a lot of people in many countries, especially in India, but also elsewhere, right? They do scientific subjects such as fundamental science, biology, physics, maths, and all these areas, and then they have no clue where they will work, because either they have an option of doing PhD and then aiming for a career in academia, but that's a very unstable career for many, not very good career for many. So a lot of struggle there. People do not know, if that doesn't work, what are the other options, right? So one good option is that, like, you can use your degree to get a job in bank and financial organization. Financial companies always want people good with numbers, and if you are a physics guy, you are a maths guy, you're a statistics guy, economics guy, or engineering guy, you are good with numbers, right? You already have technical qualifications, so you can always impress the interviewer saying that, look, I'm good with numbers, I can crunch number, and you are already a smart guy because you have technical qualification. And just read a bit about finance, as in not through certifications, but do a bit of research, learn through ChatGPT, or just go through some blogs, or just read some Wikipedia articles about finance, banking, and just apply, you know but if you do not have any clue how you can get started, find a mentor. That's what I always recommend. Reach out to people. Nowadays people are very approachable, because of the social media, right? When I started my career, it was very difficult actually. I was very clueless. I was a physics guy actually. I started my career in physics, and I was very passionate about physics. Wanted to do research actually, but for things, um, yeah, I cannot mention here. I had to stop, um, stop after graduation, and I had to then work. But I had no clue actually, where I can go actually, if it is not academia, right? Nobody was there to guide me. I didn't have anyone in my family to guide me, and there was no LinkedIn back then. There were not many people. Well, there was no YouTube in fact back then, so you didn't get such information free of cost. Now, like now, you're getting. Uh, so it's good to find mentors, talk to them. You can also always contact me also. If you have questions, do not hesitate to contact me, email me. I might be a bit slow in responding to emails because I keep getting a lot of emails actually, but I'll definitely respond, right? And it's a small community I'm building here on YouTube. So to help each other, there are many people I've helped in the past also. Them, doing quite great in various companies all over the world actually. I've mentored a lot of people from the US, from Middle East, from Australia, Singapore, Europe, India as well. So if you have further questions, do not hesitate to contact me or ask me in the comment section. Thank you guys. Just to make one announcement, I'm creating a quantitative finance course, right? I'm currently in the process of creating that. If you're interested right now or you will be interested in the future, I will leave a link, a Google form link in the comment section. Please fill up your details. Please let me know your email ID. Just fill up the details on that, right? So when that course is ready, then I can send you. Yeah, I can let you know then.